Every generation of mothers before us gave birth without a single app, without a prenatal tracking device, without a 200 item registry, and most of them were calmer than we are. That is not an accident. There are things they knew, quiet, practical things, and somewhere between then and now, we stopped passing them on. Today, we are going through exactly what a 1950s pregnant woman knew. Not the romanticized version, not the magazine version, but the real daily knowledge that kept her body managed, her home running, and her mind steady through 9 months that were, by any honest measure, harder than ours. She knew the difference between a symptom that needed a doctor and a symptom that needed rest. Today, we Google every sensation within 30 seconds and arrive at a worst-case diagnosis before we have even stood up. She had no Google. She had her body, her mother's voice in her head, and a doctor she saw once a month. And because those were her only sources, she learned to trust the one that was always available herself. When she did go to the doctor, she went with a short list of real questions. She described what she felt, she listened to the answer, and she left with a clear instruction. She did not go home and find 12 conflicting opinions online. The instruction was the instruction. That single habit, trusting the information she actually had, instead of endlessly searching for more, protected her from an anxiety loop that didn't even exist yet. She rested without guilt. After lunch, she sat. Sometimes she slept for 20 minutes. This was not laziness, it was a household that understood the body had a second job. The afternoon rest was built into the rhythm of the day the same way breakfast was. It was not negotiated. It was not earned. It was simply part of what pregnancy required, and the household adjusted around it. Today, a pregnant woman works a full day, manages a home, stays on her phone until midnight, and wonders why she is exhausted. The 1950s woman would not have recognized that as strength. She would have recognized it as a system that had forgotten to protect the person at the center of it. She knew who to listen to and who to smile at and move on from. Her mother's advice carried weight because it came from experience. Her neighbor's advice carried weight because it was specific and local. A relative who had never been pregnant, offering opinions about her birth plan that she smiled at, thanked, and quietly ignored. The filtering was automatic. Today, every opinion arrives at the same volume and the same speed, and we have not yet built the instinct to filter it. She moved through her day physically. Bread, laundry, cooking, walking to the market. None of it was exercise in the way we think of exercise, it was just the day. But by the time she sat down in the evening, her body had been in motion for 10 hours. Her back was managed. Her circulation was managed. Her labor, when it came, was not meeting a body that had been sitting still for 9 months. Modern prenatal fitness advice is not wrong, but it asks us to add something to a day that is already full. She did not add exercise. It was already inside everything else she did. The walk to the shop was the walk. The kneading was the arm work. The hanging of laundry was the stretch. The movement was woven into the fabric of daily life so completely that removing it would have meant removing the day itself. She did not treat birth as an event she was building toward. She treated it as the natural end of a process she had been managing well for 9 months. The bag was packed early. The arrangements were made. The house was ready. When labor began, there was nothing left to organize because she had refused to leave anything for that moment. Birth was not the climax she had been anxious about. It was simply the next thing that happened after a long and steady preparation. None of what she knew was written in a book. None of it was taught in a class. It moved from mother to daughter in kitchens and in quiet conversations and in the simple act of watching someone who had done it before. We lost the chain somewhere, but the knowledge itself has not disappeared. It just needs to be said out loud again. If that is something you want to keep hearing, subscribe before you go. There is so much more where this came from.